Good morning, people. It's currently 3 a.m. I just woke up. I have a flight to catch in 5 hours, and you guys are coming along for the ride. Let's go. So this skate trip started off like any other. We dipped to the airport way earlier than I had wanted, jumped on the plane, thankfully with no delays, and landed in Hungary without a hitch. By the way, I'm going to keep the tourist stuff to a minimum, as I'm sure you guys are here to watch the skate content, but feel free to let me know in the comments what you want to see more of on the next vid. First thing we had to do once we landed is search for our taxi driver and jet to the hotel. Our hotel was actually pretty sick considering the price was not high at all. We paid roughly £100 for a night at a 3-bedroom apartment, although it was basically at the top of the mountain. So there was bonuses and there were negatives. It's hotter here than it is in Spain right now. It's hotter here than it is in Spain. 33. As soon as we checked in, we dashed into the city and found the nearest skate shop. The shop had a dope selection of boards that I hadn't seen about in the UK for a very long time, so as soon as I laid my eyes on that sweet FA board, you know I had to bing that on the company card. After securing a board, we made our way back to the hotel and we just chilled for the rest of the night, as we had been awake for nearly 24 hours at this point. Oh, by the way, before we start day 2, consider dropping us a like if you enjoy these kind of videos. It really helps me figure out what you guys like to see. Anyway, on with the vid. So day 2 started off with me setting up the brand new board and finally putting to use some of my favourite grip tape I have ever received. This Sylveon was sent to me by one of my Instagram followers, and it's safe to say he absolutely killed it on the designs. I'll add his Instagram in the description if you want to check him out. Now that we're men, we got our bits together and headed down the hill. Now, my biggest regret of the entire trip was skating at the front of the pack. Because of that, I missed my homie's stack on footage. He hit a crack on an almost vertical hill bomb and was sent flying faster than a fart in the wind. I swear to God, I felt the ground shake. Just look at those juicy injuries. He was okay though, so we got back on the road and headed to our first skate park of the trip. Now this place was dead in the middle of the city and it had some weird ass transitions. At least the trees were wearing a bit of protection though. As I'm not too much of an avid ramp skater, I warmed up mostly on the floor with a few tricks here and there and then took the party to the mini ramp. Hope you enjoyed the session and I'll talk to you again afterwards. So as you can see, this isn't exactly my go-to park. We still managed to have a great time. They had all sorts of random bits around the park, some hard to skate, some misplaced, some stunk of a substance I can only describe as straight from the Golden Fountain, and some bits like these bumps and the odd ramps around the outside that I actually really enjoyed. After this session, we capped off the day with a cruise around the city checking out some cool monuments and buildings, then an actual cruise down the local river laying eyes on some of the coolest buildings and bridges I've ever seen. I'm a bit of a nerd for architecture and old stuff like that, don't really know why, I just am, and that ends day 2. So after a nice little sleep sesh, we suited up and headed out again. The hill bomb this time was taken with much more caution, but that didn't matter in the slightest, because young man Peter stacked it again on the way down and added another selection of cuts to his already growing repertoire of Budapest injuries. On the agenda for day 3, we headed to another skate park, but this one was more of a DIY kind of situation, and trust me when I tell you, this was ghetto. I almost expected CJ and Big Smoke to turn up at any moment. This park had some super sketchy bits and bobs like this bowl that looked better suited for cereal, some hella bumpy ramps on the way in and out, as well as a bunch of ramps / quarters that had almost completely disintegrated. I mean, look at the coping on this bad boy. They clearly run out of budget halfway through the cut job, but don't go anywhere yet folks, this park actually did have some redeeming factors. Just like this little hip, the banks that lead up to it, and by far my favourite part of the entire park was this fly out to the mini quarter on top of the ramp. Most of the ramps also had more of a pool coping, so it was a fun little challenge to see if we could get around that. We skated this park exclusively for the next few days, and it's worth noting that we were meant to come back on Thursday, but we actually got stuck due to flight cancellations, so we ended up skating this park for like 3 days in a row as opposed to like the 1 or 2 we were supposed to. So you're going to see a few extra clips at this park. Hope you guys enjoy it. And not to mention, this park, in my opinion, was probably the best Budapest had to offer, at least when it comes to my kind of fun for skating. Hope you guys enjoy this little multi-day session, and once I've done skating, I'll give you my full breakdown of the park and what I feel like the skate park scene in Budapest amounts to. So the skate in Budapest was fairly few and far between when it comes to the parks. If I was to go back, I'd definitely give the streets more of a shot, as I feel like I missed out a bit. The homies I was with are more park skaters, you see, so we had to hit up something we could all enjoy. But don't get me wrong, I had a great time. Overall, I give the first park a fun rating of 3 out of 5 Tonys, and the second park actually surprised me with a 3.5 out of 5 Tonys. Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. You took my chips.
And mine too.